Our options for that paddock then, it strikes me that I'm not seeing the plant density that I know has been there, say last summer. Some plants may or may not have expressed themselves through that mulch or for whatever reason, because it is very, very dry.
Yes.
So what my thoughts were to leave it for a little while to make sure that all the plants come up, and so we can make an assessment on the density. But if nothing more shows itself, and that really is what you saw today, is what we've got, what would be your...
I think as it is, it's marginal value. And I come back to your goal, which is to finish lambs. And so that sort of density, you're not going to get enough production to finish lambs. And the other thing is that, okay, I understand that you're not grazing in spring because you don't need it in spring, but what happens in spring is that, with that sort of density, is that the annuals outcompete. And you're not actually getting much response in the lucerne because of that competition, and eventually the lucerne runs out of water, and so you're not actually maximising the potential of the lucerne under that system. But if the density was higher, you would be able to maximise the potential of the lucerne. So I think I agree with you that we should leave making the decision to a little bit later to see if the density does improve. But if it's similar to that, what we saw today, then I think you need to seriously consider actually removing the lucerne, putting in a crop, cleaning up the weeds, and then going into a perennial. And lucerne is very good for finishing lambs, and so I think it would be a good choice to choose that one for your goal of finishing lambs, and then getting it right with the lucerne.
Possibly a different variety then, rather than starting to go for a lower window.
That's right. I would go for an all-rounder, so probably something like a 7, winter activity 7, and there's quite a number of varieties around that.
Sure. And that lucerne, as you know, was undersown under canola in its establishment year, which happened to be a very extremely wet year, wettest year since 1902, I think. It was in 2005. So again, treat it like a crop and don't try and undersow it. Treat it as a really valuable crop in the establishment and everything.
Definitely. And look, I know why people want to put it with canola, because you get a return, and lucerne you need to leave 6 months before you can graze, and so you're not getting a return. And so I can understand why people do it, but you definitely increase the risk of establishment failure or a poor patchy establishment. Okay, I realise that your situation was probably due to the waterlogging, which you can't predict. But in this sort of situation, I would go in it as a monoculture, and get it right.
Yes, well I think we need to do that, because as we looked at the Kikuyu, which is a lovely stand, we've got a really good system happening there. It's a bit unfair to look at the lucerne that's very patchy, and so it's not performing because it's not nearly the sort of